Hey guys, this is the Christmas season, and I want to give you a couple keys real quick on how to prevent holiday blues. One of the reasons we get holiday blues is because we've created an expectation based on a projection of reality birthed in our own fantasy fulfillment, our emotions, our desire to fill in the gaps of what we don't have in the present, hoping that the holidays or a magical event or a family vacation or something is going to fulfill and satisfy. Now, obviously, we don't do this consciously. So that's why I'm bringing it to your attention. We all create expectations. And when we do, life will never measure up to it because we are comparing reality with what I've created as almost like a theater script of what it should be. And in that script, I'm now comparing, meaning I'm not being fully present. And when I'm comparing, life will never be as idyllic as the single camera view perspective that I made, that everyone's going to treat me this way. It's going to feel this way. It's going to have this Norman Rockwell perfect something. That's not going to happen. Life will never be the fantasy. So we have to break up with this idealization that we create that then sets ourselves, others, our family up for being a disappointment. When we can choose to recognize, hey, I'm creating a fantasy of how it's going to go, good or bad. By the way, catastrophizing, where you predict how terrible your family gathering or how bad the holidays are going to be, is also a form of expectations, and it's very unhealthy. Because people don't get to just be organically seen and known and experienced. Now I've created a template by which I'm comparing them. And the crazy thing is, it's called a heuristic, which is a mental shortcut that when they do anything that seems even a little bit similar to what I've anticipated, now I've already filled in the gaps that they've done it already. And I treat them as if they have. And now they feel all this weird, funky energy from me. And then before I know it, they are now responding to me treating them as if they did it, and they start doing it. So self-fulfilling prophecies happen with family gatherings all the time, but especially during the holidays. And it creates those holiday blues, the letdown, that life is not like the Hallmark movie. Life is not like the Norman Rockwell painting. It's not like what we've imagined and projected as a fantasy fulfillment. If we can catch it, and that's the first key, you have to catch it, take that thought captive, redirect your mind, and start breaking emotional soul ties that we create at the unconscious level with either the fantasy or the catastrophe of how you anticipate and predict the event will go. By doing so, you can now start clearing out the autopilot by which I perceive things will go, an autopilot of how I respond, irrespective if those people have or have not done that. And so many times my clients will say, but Dr. Crawford, they do that. It's not coming out of nowhere that I formed this belief. And I'm like, yes, I understand. But by anticipating that they are and treating them accordingly, you are now a part of a reenactment. This is called an enactment, where the unconscious mind creates hooks and we anticipate and fill in the gaps. So let's say your family talks politics at holidays, right? Politics or religion or sports or something that gets a little bit heated, and it can be uncomfortable if people have really strong views and you're trying to just like eat your spinach and stuffing or whatever your holiday meal is. In that moment, if you can stop and not fill in the gaps of, oh God, here we go again. Or here they're going to start talking and you start rolling your eyes or disengaging or looking at your cell phone, all of which communicate disrespect. When people feel disrespected, when they don't feel heard and valued, usually defense mechanisms will cause them to do one of two things. They will either shut down, start pouting, become kind of passive aggressive, or they'll dig their heels in and start talking more. And like, oh, you're not listening? Then I'm going to talk louder. I'm going to become more persuasive. I'm going to try to manipulate you even more into believing my beliefs. What if instead of going with the roller coaster of trying to anticipate how everything is going to go, what if we stop? We forgive and say, you know what? In the past, it really was in your own heart. Forgive them in your own heart, saying it really was hard that X person did this, or that conversation went that way, or they said these comments that were really insensitive to where I am in my season of life, or what beliefs or values or morals or religious, political, whatever is important to you. You honor that experience, and by choosing to forgive them and then picturing releasing them out of the jail cell of your own judgments of them, they don't carry that weight. They're not being judged based on the last 12 interactions. You can just come at it fresh. And I'm not bound under that emotional stronghold, feeling like I need to stand up for myself and defend myself, which is more likely going to reenact the very dynamic. But if instead I can let it roll off my shoulders, and you can use a light little joke or redirect or ask for different food or engage someone else in a positive conversation, show interest and curiosity. Now, while some people are just difficult and they will continue and not get the clue that we're trying to change the subject, that could be a moment where instead of getting angry and upset and it fueling the fire, everybody else at the table sees the outlier, and then we all kind of organically shift and move into a better direction. So many of us anticipate the family drama, feeling like the victim to our family, like, oh God, here we go again, instead of realizing, how can I be a part of the change agent? How can I be part of what helps this Christmas or this New Year's or Hanukkah be really, really special? Can you come with some game ideas, topic ideas? Can you come with an attitude to serve and to bring different exotic meals? Come with aprons or PJs that are matching for everybody to try to create new memories and new traditions. A lot of our families have broken down in the breakdown of the family unit. And no matter what traditional or non-traditional is going on in your family, you can create new traditions by bringing joy and laughter and trying to bring peace and unity back in the family. Break the soul ties with the fantasy of what you idealize and hope and wish your family could be like. Break the soul ties with the catastrophe of what you anticipate and predict your family is going to be like. And do your best to show up organically. Do your best to be mindful, to be present, to take deep breaths, and to focus on being loved so that you can truly love your family. Now, that may mean for some people that you can't be there all day, that you may need to take some breaks and then go and do an errand or take somebody somewhere, right? Or go on a walk. You may not be able to do like a long, drawn out period of time with those people if it's really difficult and highly triggering. But you can at least do spurts where you're showing up the best you can to try to honor and bless and create positive dynamics, trying to be as open and accepting of these people as possible to help them feel at ease and feel less of a need to take control and to convince and to be on their little crusade of whatever they want to talk about. Now, again, you can't control other people. Many times our family's going to do what they're going to do. But as I've said before, can we just love people with their issues? Instead of unconsciously waiting until they're better, wishing that they were fixed, wishing they didn't have OCD or eating disorders or addiction or side comments or neurotic worry or whatever the thing might be, just choosing to love them. If they're the quiet one that sits in the room by themselves, you don't have to stay there the whole time, but what if you go and just sit by them? If they're the one that's on their tablet all day, just going near them and saying, hey, I'm curious what you're on and how I can join you in that. Is that a game that you're playing? Or, trying to enter into people's worlds versus trying to expect them to fulfill the fantasy of the family getting together and singing by the piano or roasting chestnuts or whatever in the movies. May we start our own traditions. May we start our own traditions. May we have our own sense of hope and camaraderie and creating your own fun games that you can do and draw people in. Now, again, not everybody may engage, but you can have a fun time. You can invite friends and other people who don't have somewhere to go, and you can help change the holidays from failure of expectations or catastrophe of expectations that lead to the holiday blues, but really choosing gratitude, choosing to be grateful and content and just showing up with what it is and being grateful for that. I love you guys, and I pray that instead of having a letdown this year where life doesn't meet our expectations, that you try to invest in what is, build in what is, and then start to harvest from what is instead of all the fantasies and expectations, good and bad, that we've been creating. I love you, and I hope you have a very Merry Christmas.